No one will ever know that I messed up.
No. Well, now you said it.
Sure.
So now they know.
Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast. My name is Shanae Howard. This is Tommy Shelby.
Hi, guys.
This is Ryan Robinson.
Hello, that's me, Ryan Robinson.
And every week together and talk about video games and video game related stuff.
Shanae, I gotta say, you're getting better at this whole hosting thing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're the host with the most.
Yeah. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Me. That's
Yeah.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
The mostest.
Mm-hmm.
I should bring you guys cookies more often. You're way nicer to me.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Let's not push it.
Yeah. I
have
feel
you
like I'm
guys
a
been
lot. I feel like I'm a lot nicer to you than I,
Should be.
I should be.
I'm just gonna trick y'all into it, but with baked goods.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, what have you guys been playing?
So I'm nearly done with Control. Unfortunately, for Control, I'd put it on the back burner because I picked up Tekken 7 on PlayStation 4. So Ryan bought me Tekken 7 when it came out on PC, and I platinumed it as much as you can on PC, right? Like, got all the achievements there. I platinumed it again on PlayStation 4, so I had a lot of fun with that. And Ryan and I played a lot of it the other day.
Like 80 something matches.
89 matches of that.
89
shit.
matches
Yeah.
consecutive. That was, and then after that, we watched a bunch of cutscenes from the history of Tekken,
That's true.
and that was fun. We watched cutscenes from Tekken 1.
Tekken has the best cinematics.
Sure.
Of
Absolutely.
any fighting game.
Also, most fighting games have a goof character, maybe two. Tekken's got a lot of them.
Yeah.
But it's all fun, and I like it.
So yeah, I've been playing that. Played Control. Started Blasphemous, but just a little bit. Just got a quick taste. I'm gonna go back and finish Control first,
Yeah.
and then I've been playing a lot of Apple Arcade stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Neato.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I haven't been playing games. I got back into the Arrowverse.
Nice.
Cool.
Is it because they're gonna do the crossover with Smallville?
Actually, I've been on
Superman
it
is
before
back.
that. I've basically since last time we met up, I have rewatched The Flash.
And Smallville.
No, I haven't. I've never even
Okay.
finished watching Smallville.
Okay.
Just so you know, to hate me.
I never finished The Flash either, and I'm not caught up on Arrow.
Y'all are real behind on Arrow.
Yeah.
But I've been watching Flash, and then the only episodes of Arrow I watch are the crossover ones. Besides what I've already watched already,
Yeah.
those crossover episodes have not made me change my mind on Felicity. And
I like her.
you've only seen 2 seasons, that's why.
No, dude, I've seen like 3 seasons.
Yeah. Tom and I once binge watched Arrow when we were living together.
Yeah.
So we saw a lot of it. Mirakuru.
Yeah. Only watched the Mirakuru.
Did you watch
episodes.
the episode where she destroyed a city and millions of people, and then people told her not to feel bad about it?
Pretty
No,
sure I did.
But we watched the
Sounds
episode
familiar.
where Thea became a party girl on Vertigo, and that was pretty neat.
Oh yeah, Thea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thea
Well,
Merlin.
What a woman.
Yeah.
you should watch when she becomes
mean,
assassin and wears crop tops all the time.
She's no Mrs. B, but she's still pretty
Oh,
cool.
you mean like after she meets her daddy and all that?
After she goes
Real
and,
dad.
after she goes
Oh
and
yeah,
trains
Dark
with
Arrow.
trains with them, yeah.
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 I've seen that.
And then
The League of Assassins.
yep. Well, they didn't train her, but yeah, Merlin did. But anyways, so first season of Legends of Tomorrow, I wasn't super impressed with. That show really picks up. I like that show so much. And then
So I've got this thing where like, if people are like, it gets good in the second season, or the game gets good after 10 hours, I'm not willing to give it that much of my time.
Mm-hmm.
well,
You know, of it being bad.
you can just watch there's like a 5-minute recap of season 1, and then you
Yeah.
get to season 2 pretty easily.
Previously on
Arrow.
Shield.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
With
it's,
Michael Chiklis. Go Dickless for Michael Chiklis.
Yeah.
because they rotate cast out a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not all the same people all the time. Actually, yeah, they change it out a lot. But yeah, so Legends Tomorrow is pretty good. And then I've already watched a lot of Supergirl, and yeah, once I finish up the Flash, I'm gonna do that. I've been playing like puzzles games.
Those are games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they in video form?
I mean, they are mobile games, so.
If that's video form. That's a video game, Shanae.
Yeah. So I've just been doing a lot of logic problems and.
Like what? Like what are we talking? Are we talking like Sudokus or?
No, find out which person has like which house and what color they are and like how many cars they own.
Yeah.
And like with these 5 clues.
Sure.
That kind of stuff, and also like number drop games. And then
wait, hold on, I'm sorry. What's a number drop game?
So the one that I'm playing a lot of, you have to like match them with the same number, and then they become that bigger number, and then you have to keep matching them.
Okay, yeah, I know those. Those are cool.
And then yeah, so I've just been doing that, and then reading.
What have you been reading?
The Bible.
The Lord's Word. I've been reading the Iron and Gold trilogy by Pierce Brown.
I never heard of it. I'm sorry.
It's the sequel to the Red Rising trilogy that I liked it a lot. It's science fiction.
I like that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the original trilogy more than I'm enjoying this first book.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
What about you, Ryan?
I've been playing a lot of. I'm still playing a lot of Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Me and my girlfriend have been putting a lot of time into that. Also, I've been putting more time into. I was telling Tom before you got here that I've been playing more Red Dead Online lately, because they've added a bunch of stuff like with like the summer update just came out, and you now can specialize in specific roles. Like they came out with 3 and they said that they'll do more later, but right now they have there's like a treasure hunter one. There is a trader like a trader one and a bounty hunter one. So I've been doing the one that I've been doing the trader one where you hunt animals and then you sell their pelts and stuff. So that's been pretty cool. And I was telling Tom that like I guess because maybe there's like more to do in the game, they've populated the online world more. I get griefed a lot less, so that's made the experience all around more enjoyable for me. And I also because of Apple Arcade, I've been playing this game called Overland that I heard about like, gosh, I would say about 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was revealed at that direct. That's crazy.
Yeah, I want to say I heard about it on Podcast Beyond.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong about that. But ever since I first heard about it, I've been like really wanting to play it because it sounds like my kind of game. It's basically the premise of the game is they call it a post-apocalyptic road trip, which is for all intents and purposes, insofar as I can tell, that's what it is. It came out on computer but it's also on an Apple Arcade, and I was pretty sure I was gonna buy it on computer, but I mean it's $25 on computer and I can play it for free on my phone, so I've been playing a bit of that, and also Exit the Gungeon, which is that's also been pretty cool. It's basically like Enter the Gungeon, like condensed in like they randomized like what guns you get in the way that like if you like get this many kills without getting hit, then you'll get this kind of gun. And so like what gun you get is based on your performance and everything. And it's I don't know what you call it. It's not a side scroller because you're going upward.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you would call that.
Vertical scroller.
There you go.
I mean, if you're talking about like a shoot 'em up, you talk like you say horizontally, or
But it's
vertically
like weird
scrolling.
because like it like it's not because like what like Raiden is a vertical scroller, right?
Right.
Right. But like the weird thing about it is that like you are like while you're technically going upward, but that's like that seems like more of a background thing
Mm-hmm.
because everything you're doing is in this like little like you're in like a little like elevator shaft.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not actually moving around outside of that little environment.
Right.
So I feel like the upward motion is just kind of like a background animation.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm interested in it.
yeah, so that seems neat so far. That's more or less been what I've been playing. You know,
So if we're talking about you're bringing up those games, I'd like to bring up mine and then actually discuss Apple Arcade.
sure.
So I've been playing a lot of Grindstone, which is Cappy's new game.
Yeah,
Cappy from like Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery,
right.
which was one of my favorite games for a long time. It's fantastic. It's a color matching puzzle game, but there's a lot to it. You're like lining up these attacks, and you have to meet certain objectives, like clear certain objectives to exit the level. It's a lot of fun. You get like different armor and items and whatnot that you can equip. They've got this new Choo Choo Rocket on there, which like it's just Choo Choo Rocket, but I love that shit.
It's Choo Choo Rocket on your phone. So
Sayonara Wild Hearts is pretty cool. It's like
yeah, I played that too.
I don't really know how to describe it. Like it's technically on rails, like it's but like it's. And when I first saw the trailer, I was like, okay, it's going to be an awesome rhythm game, but it's not really a rhythm game.
No.
Oh, so I might actually be good at it?
So it's weird to describe,
maybe.
but like it's super cool. It's a lot of fun. And then Assemble with Care, I haven't started yet, but I'm very much looking forward to. It's the guys that made Monument Valley, and it looks like a lot of fun.
I've heard a few people talk about it. Yeah, there's just so much shit on there that like it's like it's gonna be really hard to like get in like to figure out like what to play because there's so many games on there. But
So like, I think as of now, it's I saw someone the other day call it like the most impressive launch lineup. And like it is, if you think about it, obviously it's not a console, it's a service, but still, it's extremely well curated.
yeah.
Which is more than can be said for basically any platform.
Well, yeah, because I feel like you have to curate something like that. If we're talking about like, if we're talking about like a subscription based thing, then something
How
that
much is it?
$5, but you can have 5 people on one account.
Yeah,
Oh.
so that's $1 a person.
Yeah.
But like also like I feel that a lot of people's reservations with mobile games has a lot to do with like I always want to say microtransactions.
I love that guy.
Michael went to high school with them.
Like I always catch myself in the middle of it,
I know
and
you
I
do.
know I'm about to say Michael.
I've heard you do it before, yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, you're right? No microtransactions,
Yeah.
no ads, no timeout on games.
Yeah.
Like,
these are just games that you can just play, and like, quite a few of them you can play with with a controller,
right.
and
Yeah, I ordered myself a clip for my DualShock, like just for this,
yeah, and it's I think that it kind of breaks away from a lot of what people seem to have decided are the conventions of mobile games.
Right.
And I one of the things that I see a lot of is I think one of the things I saw today, this guy was like that sounds cool and all, but mobile games are still bad, so I'll pass. It's like, but like at the same time, it's just like this isn't mobile game, and like I'm not like if you don't want to try it, then like whatever. But I'm just saying that like it's not mobile games in the way that mobile games are typically done. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the interesting thing about it is like you're saying, a lot of these games are games that were developed for console, developed for PC, and happen to be here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, and with a controller can be played like an actual game.
Yeah.
Some of these
Like
games,
an actual game?
well, like Grindstone, right? Like, you wouldn't want to play that with a controller. It's better. It's suited for a touchscreen,
Yeah.
And some of these games are. My whole thing is like, I hope the curation stays good because what
Yeah.
they've picked so far is great.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you think about the early days of mobile gaming, and I don't mean early days like playing Snake on your phone, right?
Oh.
I mean like when Plants vs Zombies was new, like not for the PC space, but for the mobile space, right? Back then, it was much more common to pay a few bucks, download a game that did not have ads, did not have microtransactions,
Right.
and it became a thing.
Yeah.
You know, slowly over the well, I guess pretty quickly, became the norm. And yeah, you can still go buy games for a few bucks that are good games, right? But like,
We've all done it.
I mean, it's exclusively what I've done for the past few years as far as mobile gaming goes.
Well, because I think that paying for a game comes with certain assurances, right?
But the interesting thing about it is like you saw like Nintendo release Mario Run for a few dollars, and people were up in arms that it wasn't a free game.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah, they were like, "Give us $10
So, like,
for this Mario
It
game."
obviously doesn't work now the way it worked 6 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
So this is an interesting way of going about it. It's good for the consumer. It's good for the developer or the publisher. I mean, we don't know the cut that they're getting,
Yeah.
but if this many people are on board, I would assume it's decent.
Sure.
Yeah, and then
I just hope it stays as it is, and I worry that it will not. You know.
yeah, because I've definitely seen quite a few games like on the mobile space that are a couple dollars, and I'll go and read the reviews, and it's like 1 star, wasn't free,
Right.
like didn't have the option to watch an ad instead of paying for something, and I'm like,
Right.
go fuck yourself,
to
you're
be fair-
ruining everything.
And to be fair, this isn't free either, right? You are paying $5 a month, but like you don't really think about it that way. Kind of like when PlayStation Plus games come out, people are like, "Oh, it's the free PlayStation games." Well, they're not free; you paid for them. But I think just that mentality is different. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a separation there for whatever reason, and
I think it's because
the
they
fact that you can share it, like both my kids and you guys could have it, and we're all just paying $5 a month. Like that's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll pay you in Red
So.
Bulls.
Well, I'm not actually going to share it with you guys, but like as an example, right?
Oh, okay.
That could work, and like for $5 for 5 people to be playing, what are some of the better mobile games to be produced in a long, long time?
Yeah, and it's one of the things about it is with just the traditional app store, like you're kind of the curation, like you really get a sense of like how important like good curation is,
Right.
because if you go into the app store, like there are good games in the app store,
Yeah.
but there's just so much you have to know what you either have to know what you're looking for,
Right.
or you have to be willing to like look through like a lot of shit to get to like
And
to
that's
get to
like
the good
that's
stuff.
every storefront.
Yeah,
you know?
and so like as of right now, there is relatively like when you compare it to other storefronts, like there's relatively few games on Apple Arcade, so it's easier to see like what's good or and also distinguish that from what you might not enjoy. And
But what I'm saying, like if it continues to be as well curated as this launch is, then it doesn't matter if there's 1,000 games on there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to be pretty quality, and if you don't like them, you didn't pay any extra for it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a million games on the App Store, and
Right.
there's a lot so like obviously quality isn't or quantity isn't the answer, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, it's an exciting prospect, and so far I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Well, and quantity, like it's funny because we don't know yet how it's going to work. If games will leave and new games will come in, or if the catalog will just build and build and build.
Sure.
It's bad for the developers and for Apple, frankly, if the catalog just builds and nothing ever leaves.
Yeah.
They're going to make less and less and less money because $5 only goes so far.
Right.
But that said, like I'm fine with there being here's 100 games and 20 of them are going to switch every month. You know.
Yeah. I like it. You know.
Yeah. So far I like it.
There's this one game that I played on there that I can't remember, but it plays like if Luigi's Mansion was a twin stick shooter.
I mean, that sounds awesome.
And I think, and it's cool. It's neat little things like that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, because I think they said like they're gonna add games like every week or something like that.
Well, I know in the fall they plan to reach 100 games.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what what we get. But yeah, there's too many. There are too many video games to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like somebody
Feels
was.
good.
Yeah, it's not like there are worse problems to have, right? But someone was asking me like if because Borderlands 3 came out and they were asking me if I was going to get it, and probably at some point, but like I have so many games that I don't need to buy that right now. And I'm actually based on what I've heard of that game, I'd be okay with waiting for it to just go on sale. I've already got so much shit that I need to play. Not need to, but you know what I mean. There's so many games that I've already purchased and haven't even touched.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of games.
It made me really sad. So I've got like around 400 people on my PSN friends list, right?
Mhm.
And like Borderlands comes out, and you can like see how many of your friends are playing each title. And there's just hundreds of people playing Borderlands.
Yeah.
And I had like 8 people who were playing Control. Like, that's really sad. Yeah.
From what I understand, that is a spectacular video game.
Well, as somebody who hasn't played Borderlands 3, I can only assume that the writing is better,
Yeah.
if nothing else.
Well, from what I understand, Borderlands 3 is, kind of just more Borderlands. So
yeah.
But I really want to play Control because I'm hearing a lot of really cool shit about it.
So
Ghost and stuff. Go ahead.
Ghost.
No ghosts, but sure.
Ghost adjacent.
Tommy, you wanted to talk about online experiences this week?
Well, do you want to do that or you want to do Ryan's? Because he seemed pretty excited for his.
I had a couple of them. Which one was I?
Well, you want to talk about arcade ports.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You want to do that?
Yeah, can we do that?
Sinead?
Yeah,
Mom?
can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, Mom. Can we do that, Mom?
Yeah, just because you're excited, so you got to lead the conversation.
Sure.
Arcade ports.
What was it last weekend, Tom? That when we were hanging out, we were talking about like all these different arcade ports that, and I was actually I was thinking about like, one of the first ones that comes to my mind whenever I hear about arcade ports is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game.
Absolutely.
Because it's like
Ultra.
Yeah. Well, it's so crazy, right? Because like the funny thing about that port is like there are levels that are from the arcade version of that game that are in there, but then there's all these extra levels in there, or like and there's like different progression through the existing levels,
Right.
And it's so cool to me because like especially when you talk about like arcade ports from the NES era and how like what you're of course like especially games of that era where you're talking like this is a pared down version of that game that you played in the arcade.
Sure.
And there in certain respects it certainly is, right? Like you're definitely not getting like the graphical fidelity is not there and like it doesn't have as many animations, all that. But what you're like the trade-off is like the game is it's almost like a remix of the arcade game, I feel like.
I mean, depending on the title with that one for sure, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like specifically that one. I feel like that game is like just it's a remix of the arcade game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how, we had talked before about how the same game on 2 different consoles could be different.
Right.
Like the Aladdin is different on Super Nintendo than it is on Sega Genesis and things like that. But to see, typically with arcade ports, what I had become accustomed to is remaining as close to the arcade version of the game as possible without any sort of divergence. So I don't know, that game has always stuck out and been like really interesting to me.
Well, interesting about NES arcade ports is like I always think of 2 games. I think of Donkey Kong, which the NES version, although I love it, it's missing an entire level, right? And what's funny about that is like think about how much simpler Donkey Kong is compared to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a way simpler game. They couldn't have added that one extra level,
Yeah.
It's very funny. But one of my favorite games growing up as a kid is an old SNK game called Guerrilla War, which started in the arcade. And the NES version is definitely a stripped-down version, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was an arcade version as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, this is all I knew.
Sure. Yeah.
It's technically the first game I beat. I always consider Codename Viper to be the first game I beat because, like, you can die and have to start over in that game.
Right.
Whereas Codename Viper, you just have unlimited credits.
Yeah.
You know? So I beat it, but, like, I continued a trillion fucking times, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, it reminds me of a mix between Jackal and Contra.
Man, I was just thinking about Jackal today.
Yeah, it's like a top-down Contra, you know, and
Yeah.
you can play it 2 players the whole time, and it's super fun. Also, like a precursor to Shock Troopers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. But yeah, NES ports, man.
Yeah. So yeah, and like I don't like my understanding about some of this stuff is kind of murky, but you know, I remember like I had like there were games that I had at home, like I had Super Mario, like everybody, I had Super Mario Brothers, but I also had Punch Out. Now it wasn't Mike Tyson's Punch Out; it was just Punch Out. But what I specifically remember when I would go because I got Punch Out before I had ever been to an arcade, right? But I remember going to when my mom got stationed on Guam. She would take me. I was telling you about this the mall there and she would always let me go to the arcade there, and so that was the first time I'd ever been to an arcade. And I remember going into the arcade at the mall there, and I saw the arcade version of Punch Out with like the wireframe player character. I don't know if that's still Mac or if it's just like
Yeah.
But and I had always wondered because like everything else seemed pretty like much the same, like
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah, and so like, and I had always like wondered, you know, what is like why like is obviously like doing. I don't know the capabilities of the NES. Like I don't know. I don't have an in-depth understanding of that stuff. But as I got older, I guess I understood that like they didn't do the wireframe on the home version because of technical constraints, and also I wasn't sure which version came first. I don't know if you know.
I would assume the arcade version was first, but I'm not positive.
Yeah. But I like it's weird because like it's such a subtle thing, and like outside of that, like everything else is the same. It's just that from what I remember, it's just like that one little change.
Well, it's also like their monitor's vertical. In
That's
the
true.
Arcade.
That's true.
But yeah, you know, interesting thing about NES arcade games, or Nintendo arcade games, I should say, is like the Switch through Arcade Archives is like the very first time you've ever been able to play like the arcade version of Punch Out, the arcade version of Donkey Kong, like at home.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Yeah, so this is something that I wanted to ask you specifically on this episode because I feel like you would have a better understanding of it than I would. But I feel like I remember you saying that there were console ports of Pac-Man that were superior to others.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I don't understand Pac-Man enough to know why that is.
Well, I mean, okay, so you think about the earliest ports of Pac-Man. There's the Atari 2600 version, which is like one of the worst arcade ports ever. There's the NES version, which is like pretty close to the arcade.
Yeah. So, what's the difference between the two?
Well, so 2600, you're getting a black screen with white, extremely low pixel count.
Yeah.
And just like it's a completely different game.
Sure.
It's Pac-Man, sure, you're going through a maze, eating the dots, you know, but like it is just awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Yeah, I like because like then you told me that then you let me know that Mrs. Pac-Man was better.
Yeah, well,
or
Ms. Pac-Man
Ms. Pac-Man. I'm sorry, Ms. Pac-Man.
It's more maps.
Okay, is that what makes it better?
Yeah, more map variety.
Okay.
I like the color and the aesthetic better, but
and it's like one of the things. One of my memories of the arcade though is like I was telling you about how I'd go to the arcade and I'd come home and I would like after playing all those badass arcade games, I'm like, man, I don't want to play my boring ass games at home. Like I want to play all these cool arcade games.
And I never really felt that way.
Yeah. But I don't know why I felt that way, because I felt like my video game collection, I don't think it was bad by any means, and there were games that I had on NES that were never released on arcades. So
probably most of them.
Yeah, but then again, I guess it's just because I had played those games so many times and I rarely get to play at the arcade. So but like I remember when Killer Instinct got ported to the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And like that made me so fucking excited. Well, one, because I was able to play Killer Instinct at my house.
Right.
Which is like, finally I can play this game without someone else walking up and putting in a quarter in and making me waste my quarter.
Yeah.
So that was exciting to me, but like and also when I figured out how to spam Cinder's combo and I was able to do ultra combos on that, and that like
forward Y.
Yeah, when you're 10 years old, that feels badass.
Yeah. It's funny though, right? Like, because you think about the Super Nintendo ports of certain games, games like Street Fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
World Warrior all the way through to Super. It never got Super Turbo. And even with Alpha 2, like, they are pretty faithful to the arcade versions. Alpha 2 has that delayed start, but like other than that, it's pretty faithful to the arcade. Same thing with Mortal Kombat. Like, they're not perfect, but they're pretty close.
Yeah.
The Killer Instinct SNES version is like way worse.
Yeah,
than the arcade
because
version.
you remember when on the arcade cabinet, the announcer guy would say "coming soon to Ultra 64."
Ultra 64, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that was that.
Thank you.
It wasn't that game was obviously like they didn't make it like ideally for 16-bit hardware, right?
But I mean, it played well.
Yeah.
It was fun to play.
I mean,
What game were you talking about? Sorry.
Killer Instinct.
Killer
Oh,
Instinct,
got you.
But then that made me excited because like because around the same time, Cruis'n USA was out in the arcades, same company, and I was like, man, that means it's only a matter of time before Cruis'n USA comes to Super Nintendo.
Rare did Cruis'n?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But then like
It's two of us.
Actually,
Oh no, I thought it was like Midway or something.
it was Midway. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
But then like Cruis'n USA did Cruis'n USA did come to consoles, but like the following generation.
Right, and significantly watered down.
Yeah. It's just like that was around the first time I was like, man, this is a bad version of this game. But like at the same time, like,
well, it's interesting because like it's around the 16-bit era with games like Street Fighter that you start seeing ports of arcade games that are like pretty fucking close.
Yeah. Well, because I remember not being able to. I wouldn't be able to. I can't. I remember not being able to distinguish between the arcade version of Street Fighter 2 and the Super Nintendo.
As a child, I couldn't tell you the difference. Now for sure.
Sure, yeah.
But like, then you get fucking Neo Geo comes out, right? And like, Neo Geo is the first time the home version is the same as the arcade version for all of those games.
Yeah, but their price reflected that.
But nobody could afford it.
Yeah.
What were the games and how much did they cost at the time?
It's all the Metal Slugs, Nam, and like King of Fighters, all that stuff. Yeah. All the SNK stuff.
Yeah.
But like at the time, a new Neo Geo was like $700, I think.
Chinga.
And we're talking in the 90s, like
And how much were those games?
I don't know, but they were not cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, over $100, and they're fucking huge carts.
How does King of Fighters still have such a big following?
Oh, it's an arcade, right? Like SNK remained popular in the arcade, even though Neo Geo was a flop in this country.
Yeah.
And it was only a flop because it was, people couldn't afford it. And rightfully so, right? Like at that time, that shit was mind blowing.
Yeah.
But Saturn and then Dreamcast following up, like those Sega ports were pretty fucking good.
Yeah. So when I got my Sega Saturn, it came with 3 Sega arcade ports. It came with Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Cop and Daytona USA.
All fantastic.
And like I cannot, like I used to play virtual. So my mom worked over at Lackland Air Force Base,
Yeah.
and there was this little recreation area. And so sometimes I have to go to work with her on Saturdays, but the little recreation area had a Virtua Cop cabinet, and I used to play that game so much because it was so cool. I was like, they react to where you shoot them. This is amazing, right? And like being able to play that game at home was just it was just so cool to me.
You know what's funny? You brought up Virtual Fighter. Like, there's a Genesis version.
Yeah.
And holy shit,
it's
real bad.
It's so bad.
You know?
It's so because the whole thing about the Virtua games, like every game under the Virtua umbrella, like the whole thing was like these are like 3D polygonal characters, and that is like the Genesis version of Virtua Fighter is 2D characters.
Yeah.
But I had a 32X. So I was able to. It wasn't exactly right, but
it was closer.
It was a lot closer than a 16-bit counterpart. I was one of the 50 people who bought a 32X.
Yeah, I was about to say. That's funny. I don't think I've ever actually seen one in real life.
Yeah, I might be able to dig it up, but
Why did you?
Why did I what?
I was gonna make the joke. Why did you bury it? But then I stopped myself because I realized how dumb it was.
Yeah.
You know what I really liked? A little bit later, but around that time, Tempest on Jaguar to me was rad.
Yeah.
And like I understand now that playing Tempest with a D-pad, like it sucks, but like
you gotta have that dial.
Yeah, still like as a kid I loved it.
Yeah. But there are other games too, right? Like the Terminator 2 arcade game. So I borrowed that from one of my friends who didn't have what was it called, the Menacer.
Mm-hmm.
That was their Super Scope thing, and I wanted that so bad, but I had to just play it with a controller. And there were like a lot of those arcade shooters that I had to play with just a controller.
Well, I told you I played Super Nintendo Revolution X.
Yeah, me too.
I loved it.
Yeah. Because it just like, I feel like it was just like, I'm just glad to be able to play this game at home.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But like, I think that experience was just so, like, I look back on it and I don't think I realized how, impactful that experience was. 'Cause that's not a thing anymore. Right. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, consoles have surpassed what most arcade machines do.
Yeah, so it's just like the whole, like the,
unless you have like a special peripheral or something like that, you're getting better visuals at home most of the time.
Yeah. But like I was always like, I remember like I would always get so fucking stoked when like I saw like the Super Nintendo or Genesis version of an arcade game, like the remember that Avengers arcade game?
Capcom?
I think so.
Capcom was doing a lot. Was it a beat 'em up?
Yeah.
It was probably Capcom. Capcom was doing a lot of Marvel stuff then. They did Punisher as well.
Yeah. That Punisher one is real good.
Yeah, it is.
But it's just like like it was.
I don't know if I've ever really played any ports from arcade games, like not at an arcade.
I wonder. Well, what consoles did you have?
Well, you played Tekken. You played a lot of Tekken.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tekken.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Tekken. You're right. And then also, if you want to count like Donkey Kong.
I mean, I absolutely count Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
You've been there. You don't realize it.
Didn't
most fighting
did
games
Time
you
Crisis
played.
come to the PlayStation?
It did.
I played it on PS1.
Yeah, so there was a time the first Time Crisis did come out for PS1, and it had like there was a specific Namco light gun for that.
Was Ape Escape ever an arcade game?
No.
Okay, I remember there being some monkey one, but I don't remember what.
Well, Monkey Ball is currently at arcades.
Oh yeah.
And it is great.
Well, the cool thing about the Time Crisis port was I was telling Tom that because you just played it with a controller, right?
No, I played Time Crisis
with a gun.
gun.
Yeah, well, I was telling Tom that like,
but never stepping on it. Like
yeah,
you
so
said.
you could plug because the gun was kind of weird, right? It had like actual like you had to plug like there were inputs that you had to plug into the TV as well. Then like you plugged it into the PlayStation, but you also had to plug something into the TV. But what you could also do is you could plug another controller into the player 2 port, and you could stand up like you're at the arcade cabinet, and you could put like you could use your foot to press one of the face buttons so that it works like the pedal in the arcade, and I think that's really neat.
That is really neat. It's very, very much how you break a controller, but it's very neat.
But the home version of that game added because it had the main, like I guess you'd call it the campaign of the arcade version, but there was also there was another side mode that had branching storylines and paths and stuff. So that was really neat.
Oh, that is neat.
Yeah.
So my favorite as far as light guns was House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast.
Oh man, so good.
Oh, I have played House of the Dead on Wii.
So that's Overkill,
Yeah.
which was I don't know if that was an arcade game or not.
I don't think so.
I'm not positive, but it's a great game.
Yeah.
But House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast, like I had 2 light guns. I didn't have a buddy.
Sure.
I played both light guns and it was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
That does sound
Dual
cool.
wielding.
Yeah.
I had such a badass as a kid.
Dude, you didn't play no DDR?
You never played DDR at home?
Like Dance Dance Revolution?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I had a childhood friend who had the game and the mats.
Yeah.
But she only would let me play like one song the entire sleepover.
Never mind.
Wait. So a sleepover is hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah.
And so
all night, buddy.
Yeah. So that you could do a few dances like in the course of 10 minutes, and she'd only let you do one. I'm glad you're not friends with this person anymore.
Yeah,
So-
no, that friendship ended pretty quickly.
In high school, with Ryan and I's group of friends, there was quite a bit of DDR.
Yeah.
And I just remember how horrible those plastic mats are.
Because they slip around.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like
And now people like in home have the metal ones.
Yeah.
But they're super expensive.
Yeah.
because like you would take your shoes off and then like the socks just slide everywhere and barefoot like play 2 songs. Your feet are sweaty as fuck.
Sure, you don't want someone stinky ass.
Well, and
all
at
over your
that
power
time,
pad.
not a whole lot of people were doing tile or wood floors. Like there was carpet for the most part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how fucked up it would be if I decided I wanted to play DDR in my second story apartment.
Shout out to Mario Mix, which I don't know if that was ever in arcade or not.
Yeah.
But
well, and on the inverse of that,
I did play the Flappy Bird arcade game after playing the mobile version.
did you play was there a home port of that?
What do you mean a home port?
Well, we're talking about arcade ports to the home. You know?
to the home. That's a reverse port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the phone. I guess that's home sometimes.
Yeah. There's probably a phone in that
Yeah.
cabinet you were playing.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like there's, especially when you go to a barcade, there's a whole lot of mobile ports to arcade now.
Oh yeah,
And it's
100%. Yeah.
So I knew about Flappy Bird.
Doodle Jump. There's a Doodle Jump arcade.
There's like a Temple Run
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
I feel like I heard about a Plants vs Zombies one.
Yeah, but that's actually a different game, and that one's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
But yeah,
Is that the one with like a real water gun?
it's not. I don't know if it shoots water, but you do have like this gun.
Okay.
It's pretty neat. But I feel like we don't get a whole lot of arcade ports now, and I kind of wish we did, because like there are certain games that have never been released on console that might not be up to like the high standards of some of those publishers.
Yeah.
But like those, and I understand some of the tracks come from the console versions, but like the arcade versions of Mario Kart, like, yeah, that's not as good as regular Mario Kart, but like if Nintendo put them out and was like $40,
Yeah.
a shit ton of people would buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Why not?
I don't know. There's something about It's funny. There's something about watching people play that game, and it's just like I think that that game really. I feel like that game only really works in an arcade setting though.
Mario Kart?
No, like that specific one.
No, I think it would be okay because, like I said, it is a lot of the same tracks that you have at home. It is a lot of the same items and stuff. I don't know. I'd be down for it. Yeah. And like when I think about arcade ports to home, it's obvious stuff, right? Like it's like Tekken 7, it's stuff like that. And even that took them 2 fucking years.
You know what's weird is like, I think this is when Tekken 6, because when I was in Japan, that's when Tekken 6 came out. And so I don't know what it is, but something about like, because I guess I'd been playing console games for so long that I'm not used to like arcade games looking like that.
Yeah.
So like seeing Tekken 6 in the arcade, I was like, this is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like it was like a weird feeling.
And it's weird because like it is going in reverse now, right? Like there's the Enter the Gungeon arcade machine, right? Which it started as a console or PC game, right?
What that is.
Street Fighter V started as a console game. Because never happened with Street Fighter, But yeah, it took them 2 years. It's the opposite of Tekken 7. It took them 2 years to get to the arcade.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. But like some of those games I would love to play at home.
Yeah.
Those rail shooters, man, that alien rail shooter.
Yeah.
I'd play that at home all day.
Yeah.
Well,
I used to, oh my God. So one of my favorites was Lucky and Wild. I love that fucking game.
Yeah.
Lucky and Wild is such a badass game. I don't know how a home version of that game would work. Don't ask me. But I just wanted the home version of that game so fucking bad.
Work,
there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
It's like Taiko no Tetsujin recently, like within the last year and a half, was released for consoles, right? And like as a series that has been mostly an arcade game, but there's been a few console ports, and this one is just for consoles, and you can play it with a controller, but you can also buy the drum.
Yeah.
So like they can still do peripherals, and for stuff like that, it would be successful.
Yeah.
Enough people want that stupid drum.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there was a point where the like when we're talking about like 3D games, there's a point where like I feel like the arcade version of the game and the home version of the game were indistinguishable. Like I remember playing so I had Area 51 on the Saturn.
Okay.
And just totally indistinguishable.
Saturn was really good for that stuff, man.
It had a ton of arcade ports on it.
All the CPS 2 and 3 games were like Saturn is where you wanted to play them. The PlayStation versions were terrible, It was just because there, like, I think that was the beginning of when I was just like, man, there's all these games that I want to play at home and I can't just because like technical limitations, like, like the Super Nintendo was never going to have that. Genesis was never going to have that. Right. And then, when the Saturn came out and just exploded with all these arcade ports, like a bunch of fighting games came out, a bunch of arcade shooters came out, a bunch of arcade racing games came out, and it was just the best. And then I guess, that was around then, like, and then arcades in America were still kind of going, like, the following generation when the Dreamcast came out. So we still got a good number of arcade ports on that system. But that was the system to like the Sega, like those two Sega consoles were the place to be if you wanted to get those ports. Oh yeah, dude. Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like playing, oh my God, playing being able to play Crazy Taxi at
Power
home.
Stone.
And
Fighter 3, all that stuff. Yeah.
It's just, but but for me, the whole thing about the arcade, like the magic of arcades to me was like the crazy, comparatively crazy graphical fidelity of those games, like the sound of those games, and like now like games come out, like games better than that come out all the time,
right?
Well, technically better, you know what I mean. And so like I guess like that wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like that would be lost on me now.
There's still something appealing to me about going to a place with random people and playing games there. Like that does still appeal to me. And I'm not even talking about like when we went to pinballs. Like with modern arcade games, that still is something I like.
There's a new arcade opening up around us. My neighbor is providing a lot of the arcade machines.
Yeah.
I'll have to find out the name of it. But
Yeah.
he has he's showing me lockers full of like a storage unit,
Right.
like just full of them. And I've gone over to their house before. They live in the same building as I do,
Yeah.
and yeah, like they just have so many machines all in their apartment.
Well,
And
you
I'm
see
so
that, right?
jealous.
Like you see, like people, at least people our age, like they do long for that. It's why a company like Arcade1Up can be successful when they're selling you 3 games for $200-$300
Yeah.
that you could easily play elsewhere. You know. Because people want that fucking machine, you know, and that's not even a good version of those machines, but people still want it, you know. I don't know. I like the experience of going to an arcade, even if I'm playing something inferior to what I can play at home. It's just fun. It's a fun thing to do.
I think I would show up to an arcade that had like an arcade version, like an arcade spec version of Mortal Kombat 11. I would show up and play that.
Yeah. That's a whole another interesting thing is like those games, you know, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat used to be made for the arcade.
Yeah.
And
now
they aren't anymore, you know.
Oh.
Now they're made for the home.
Right.
Yeah, well then I think
Bring the violence home, where it belongs.
that's actually a pretty good slogan. Bring the violence home. Well, Tom, was it you who was telling me about the arcade version of that Injustice arcade game or mobile game?
Oh yeah. So it's an Injustice arcade game, and it's not the fucking PlayStation Injustice. It's the mobile Injustice in the arcade. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Oh, it's so disgusting.
Yeah, there's so many fucking mobile ports that you mentioned it before, and
But like fighting games are an arcade game thing. Like just fucking put a stick on there, put some buttons on it. Don't you know? Like
yeah.
Just throw a PlayStation in that cabinet.
Put a PlayStation in there. It's fine.
No, I have definitely seen that where it's just like a PlayStation or an Xbox in a cabinet.
Well, Nintendo used to do it back in the NES days. It was basically you're running a Nintendo in there. But
yeah, they did the same thing with the same thing with the Famicom.
Mm-hmm.
Because I originally thought a Sailor Moon game that I always wanted to play was just an arcade game, and I'd never get to play it.
Yeah.
And it just turns out, it was just a Famicom.
Yeah.
So I was gonna bring that up, but I was like, oh, that was never actually an arcade game. That was just on the Famicom.
Well, it still is. I mean, if you think about like the NES, what is it, Play Choice or whatever it's called, where you can like pick from a couple of NES games, it's still an arcade game.
Yeah.
You're playing it at the arcade. The hardware shouldn't matter, but I don't know. I mean, like, what is Neo Geo, right? Like, that is what that is. It's those fucking boards. Like, it's the same thing, just in casing.
Yeah. But man, the first time I saw Metal Slug in the arcade, and I was like, they're never. I was like, man, if I just play this at home, because it was just like Metal Slug was the coolest thing in the world to me when I first discovered it, and I was like, I'm never going to get to play this game at home. And then they released a bunch of Metal Slugs on home console, so that was rad. But you know, it was just, you know, for me, it was always like, because since arcade ports had already been a thing for certain games, I would always go to the arcade being like, when is this gonna come to home consoles?
Yeah.
You know?
You know what Dreamcast had? Hydro Thunder.
Oh man. Oh man.
I never played it. What's it like?
It's a water racing game. I really enjoy like that, you know.
Yeah, but man, that
Wave Racers?
Wave Race I love. You know,
man,
Hydro Thunder.
the Hydro Thunder cabinet was
Riptide
something else.
is
though.
awesome.
Like
yeah.
And that's another thing about one thing about arcades that is difficult to replicate at home is like those gimmicky cabinets, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Pod Racer?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 1 Pod Racer?
Yeah.
Dude, so good.
Like, or even just like the Afterburner cabinet.
Yeah.
Where like that does the rocking back and forth and everything. I mean, it's like, you know, you'd spend like, if you wanted to replicate something like that at home, you're spending thousands of dollars to build something like that.
Yeah.
But like,
right. Pod Racer came to N64, but like this was not as fun.
Yeah.
You know.
So like that, there's, you know, that's like one of the things that made arcades like great to me was like those gimmicky cabinets where like they moved or the controller was weird or you know,
Dude,
things
the
like
feeling of the gun in that Alien game.
that. Oh man.
Oh man, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clacking around all stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel real powerful with that thing.
Now they have some of those gimmicks are fucking dumb. Like the ones they have now, where you just like lay back for most of it, and like they move the chair around.
Lay back.
So it's like a. So
Is it like doing the Rockaway?
Yeah. Lean back.
that's lean back.
Oh, sorry.
So there's some now where you are like leaning back, and there's like a controller, like, and there's like a controller, like, and you're just like this,
That sounds cool.
and like it's supposed to be like 3D and surround, and they have like where like the,
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
are like coming out
Right,
at you,
right.
and like the chair will rumble and stuff, but you still like swerve around.
They call that 4D.
Yeah, most of the time it's like a
D-box.
rail. It's like a rail shooter, like of some sort. Like
I
where
do
you're,
love rail shooters.
but they're like $4, and you get like a minute
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
That's premium arcade, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I want them to have an ad version that's free.
So there's something that I don't know, and you guys, Ryan, you might know this. Actually, Sinead, you might know this too. I really liked in the arcade Guitar Hero. Was that a console game first?
I feel like it had to have
I
been.
feel like that also. I feel like that was a console game first as well. You know what arcade game I always wanted to get good at, but like I don't think there's a home port of this. I think I probably mentioned on the show. That music rhythm one where you like move your hands and it has like all the lasers and you gotta like move them.
I know that. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, I want that to be at home. I'll pay thousands of dollars for that game because I am so bad at it. And
You
I
wouldn't pay thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
Don't lie.
Come on, Shanae.
well, if I had fuck you money, I would. If I had thousands of dollars,
Shanae's fuck you fund.
yeah, I would buy that because I want to be good at it so bad, and I've tried at conventions and when I see them at like arcades,
Yeah.
and every single time I am so bad at it, and there's always just one person there. It's just like waiting for me to get off the machine,
Sure.
and then they just kill it. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry that I wasted your time. Like you obviously belong on this machine, and I do not.
Sure.
You know what's cool is that beat 'em up bundle that Capcom put out.
Yeah. The
And
Belt Action Collection.
man, like one of the things that was exciting about that to me was there were games that like I thought I would never get to play again on that, like Warriors of Fate. Like I never thought I would get to play that game ever again.
Yeah.
And like, and there were, you ever like experience something like as a kid, and then as the years go by and you don't see that thing again, you start to wonder like, did I imagine that?
Yes.
All
the time.
And Warriors of Fate was one of those things for me because I was like, did I?
What's funny about like I've never had any qualms with emulating arcade games because like how else are you supposed to play them really?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to see stuff like that become more common these days. It's like the Contra collection that just came out. It's got the arcade versions, you know, like
I never played Contra in the arcade.
yeah. I mean, it's very similar. It looks better, but like the NES version is quite similar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was like,
And
I've only ever
and you can
played
play
the
it
NES
as many
version.
times as you want for free.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Ryan, what's an arcade game that never got ported that you wish had?
So Lucky and Wild, as I said, and like I want to say the Alien versus Predator game, but like it did kind of.
No, it didn't.
No.
Not really. I mean, because here's the thing, right? There was the SNES AVP, which was a brawler,
Yeah, that game
but
sucks.
way different.
Okay, so in the Alien vs. Predator arcade game, you get 4 people to choose from, including 2 different predators. You have Hunter Predator and Warrior Predator, totally different. Okay, and then you had Dutch and some lady, but you had 4 different distinct characters. The Super Nintendo game, you have one predator, and that's it.
Yeah.
That game sucks.
I don't think that game
Need more
sucks, but it
Predators.
is not as good.
No, I remember. I think that game sucks. But if I could have had the arcade version of Alien vs. Predator, like I would have loved that one.
So that is getting released on that Capcom weird ass arcade console thing. That will not be released in the States though. And isn't even oddly enough is published by THQ Nordic instead of Capcom.
Yeah.
So that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I would be very happy to have that game at home. I don't know that'd be my first choice. I think like
What's your first choice then?
so there are games that came to home consoles, but like they were not very good on home consoles.
So you want a game to get a better treatment?
Yeah, like if they could release like Air Guys or Fighters Mega Mix like properly,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
If you had a Mega Mix, you could fight as a car,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Punch with the wheels.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, though, a lot of those Sega arcade ports of that era were pretty good.
Those were not.
I don't know. I thought those Virtual Cop ones were pretty good.
No, for sure those are, but like Fighters Mega Mix is terrible.
Virtua Fighter 2 was good.
Yeah. Also, like, they released it, but it's been a long time. I wish they would release Pocket Fighter again.
Yeah.
Gem Fighter, whatever you want to call it. And there was that Mega Man fighting game that was only arcades, but I think eventually, like, PSP or something had it.
Also, actually, you know what? Hold on. I have one more. So, are you guys familiar with the Chase HQ franchise?
Yeah, but not like I know of it, but I don't know that.
Okay.
No, enlighten me.
Okay, so basically, Chase HQ is the core conceit of all the games is you're a member of Chase HQ, which I believe is like some arm of like the police force or whatever.
Okay.
And so each level, you have a guy who you got to catch for one reason or another, and you always catch them. It's basically a racing game where the object of the game is to ram into the other guy until his car stops.
Got it. I can win that.
So the thing about it is there's one like all the Chase HQ games are the same except for two of them. Well, like they all play this. They all have like they're all the same except.
Is one of them you're a mechanic fixing all the broken cars?
No, so
That'd be a good spinoff.
there was a Super Nintendo one that was specifically for Super Nintendo where instead of it being a chase camera behind the car, like the camera was like inside the car, which I thought was really neat for a Super Nintendo game. And like in that game, like that was the first Chase HQ game that I can remember where like the damage you're doing to your car is actually like modeled on the car. It's neat. But there was another one that was only on arcades that instead of you ramming the other car, that game had a fire button. So because you were driving like this, like the car you were driving is a convertible, so like the guy in the car with you will like stand up and like shoot at the other car, and I thought that was so fucking cool.
So it's like Spy Hunter.
No, because one Spy Hunter like a top down.
It was,
and like and the guns are in the car.
Right.
This time the guy is the gun, kind of like a Spy Hunter, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really love to play that game. I don't know. Maybe because I don't know if that game has aged particularly well.
Well, we both speak fondly of Pursuit Force, which I know is different.
Yeah,
but
that was as close. I like Pursuit Force because it reminded me so much of Chase HQ.
Right.
Except for Pursuit Force, instead of ramming the cars, you're jumping out of your car onto their car, killing them, and then jumping back into your car.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, sometimes you're not even in a car.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just on foot shooting guys.
Yeah.
The PSP launch game, I believe.
There's two of them.
Yeah. Cool game.
Shanae, anything?
I don't know. I had a much different experience at arcades than you guys did. Okay. First of all, like I didn't go to a lot of them. Second of all, so like the ones that I did go to were mainly like movie theater ones or ones that were in a mall. If I was like lucky, we lived somewhere like that. Mm-hmm. But
me too, mostly the mall.
Yeah, but like the first time I started going to the one in the mall, I really wanted to play Tekken because I played it at home with my dad, and I was like super excited that I'd get to play it. And not a lot of people wanted like a little girl playing Tekken with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I've said time and time again on the show, like not every person or not every male in the video game industry is like an asshole about it, but I just ran into some assholes. And as a little girl, it just like really turned me off into from like playing fighting games out in public and not just at home. So normally when I went to arcades, I was either playing like Simpsons, which
Good
that
one.
got ported over. Because I'm thinking about it now, like what have I played in that like, but I never played the ports. That's like the thing. Like I only played the Simpsons at the arcade.
I mean, so the arcade port of those Konami brawlers are the exact same.
Yeah,
Simpsons on 360 is the same as Simpsons in the arcade.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the only difference is infinite continues.
Right. What I will say, Shanae, is that the X-Men brawler by Konami that got ported to 360 was delisted, so it's gone now.
Yeah.
So they can
Great
bring
game,
that
though.
back.
I love that game.
All right, yeah. So that was like the X-Men one. I played a lot of pinball, which most of those are probably out there on the internet, but I have never found them. Because I really liked the Batman 1989 pinball machine. I also really enjoyed the South Park one.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure that 1980. Maybe it's a different one. I remember when we went to pinballs, I saw a Batman table, but I don't know if it's the 19. I don't know. I remember it was a Batman table though.
This one had, if I remember correctly, it had like Jack Nicholson like on it too. So it was definitely like, yeah, that one. And then there's another one I used to play all the time, but like it wasn't. But Pinballs doesn't have it, so I can't remember the name of it. But it was just like a generic, like gambling, like Las Vegas theme one.
Yeah.
But I really liked the board a lot, like where everything was. I got really good at that. So those are probably online somewhere or a part of a bundle or like a pinball game out there. I just have never played it.
What's that pinball game that's like only real tables?
So that was Pinball Arcade, but they lost the license to the majority of those tables, and then now another company is doing it. I can't speak to the quality of that though. Pinball Arcade was fantastic though.
So I remember going to the arcade. I was telling Tom I remember going to the arcade on my birthday. Because every time we'd go to the arcade, like I was when we went, like when my mom was doing shopping, she would give me $5, right? But I remember when I go on my birthday, shop on my fanny pack, and she gave me $20, and I had $20 of tokens, and I felt like I was just there I just felt like I was there all day, and it's just, I miss that. I want that back.
Yeah, I also
Such a great time in my life.
I also played a lot of the racing games, which
Oh yeah.
like.
I was always real bad at racing.
I want
games.
so badly
In the
to
arcade.
go back in time to play those racing games again now that I know how steering wheels actually work. Because I used to just jerk the wheel
Slam
left
it.
and right, and just like I just want to go back in time because I know how they work now. Just let me do it one more time.
I was always pretty good at them. I didn't have a lot of people that like my age that I really hung out with, especially if like we're going to the mall. It was just me and my mom. So every now and then I'd get my mom to like play a racing game with me, but I for sure could get my mom to play like pinballs with me, and so that's really what I play a lot of.
Ryan and I were talking about it last week. Like, my parents didn't really give me money if we went to like a place like that. You know, it was like whatever money I had. If I wanted to spend it on that, I could.
Well, we didn't do allowances or anything like that.
Right. So I had allowance, but it was never very much. So like, I'd end up playing a lot of Street Fighter because I could stay on it for a long time, you know? And I feel like that made me not play, like miss out on a lot of games, you know?
Yeah.
But like I wanted to be entertained for half an hour rather than 2 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I just first couple times I just got like, I mean, granted, I was probably like an annoying little kid. Like I don't blame strangers for not like wanting to, but just like, yeah, I just like was not super encouraging. Like I remember asking like, oh, like how did you do that? Because all I've ever played against is my dad at home. Like,
yeah.
how did you do that?
Also, shout out to Skee Ball, which you can play at home now. So
Yeah,
Is that true?
yeah, you can buy a skee ball for your house.
Yeah, that sounds
just the one ball though, not the machine.
I mean,
Claw machines I got really good at for a while.
yeah.
You know,
My sister's really good at those.
I'm not anymore, but I used to do pretty good. Clean up, man.
She's also really good at the stop the button when it's like on the light thing.
So stuff the button.
Stop the button.
Oh, hey, You guys ever played? There was this holographic time traveling cowboy game. You guys ever played that?
No.
No. But yeah. So, what's the segment called again?
Page Masters.
Page Masters.
Yeah, Chictionary.
Dictionary.
Whose turn is it? Your turn, Ryan?
Okay. Well, remember one of those notebooks is my work notebook for my last job.
Let's dive into that one.
Well, this one gets your name on it.
Okay. All right.
Take us through something.
Okay. Let me see if I can find one with a lot of.
Just pick one at random.
Well, I want to find one that has like actual like more than one thing scribbled on it.
Yeah.
Okay. DLL.
Oh, sorry, real quick. Just explain the game if you haven't listened to previous ones where we do
It's
it.
not a game.
It's just
Or segment.
a
Sorry.
seg.
No, a segment. We are going through old journals and writings of things we've done for the show because we've been doing the show for a couple of years, and just revisiting it and trying to figure out why we wrote this down.
Yeah. This is all pretty straightforward, so I don't feel like it'd be particularly interesting.
No, well, what is it? Give it to us.
Okay, so I wrote The Division getting DLC
Okay.
a month before something. I don't know.
And then that's crossed out.
So Ryan, you played that game, right?
Yeah.
I was never really big into the Division.
Yeah, it was that's a good voice chat game.
Yeah.
Xbox One getting The Division.
A lot of Division.
Wait. Oh, this is what I meant to write. This is why I just scribbled out. What I meant to write was Xbox One getting The Division DLC a month before PS4. Confirmed by GameStop promo video 30 days before.
You know what's funny about that?
Uh,
I guarantee you it still sold more on PS4.
Well, it's better on PlayStation, Tom.
Sure.
They said that.
Well, apparently not.
Bethesda has 3 new, quote, big and crazy projects in the works, says Todd Howard.
Okay.
So
Starfield.
So this had to be around 2016.
He was still talking about Starfield.
I
even
think
then.
2016 or early 2017, I think.
So at that point,
Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls Online, maybe.
No, he's probably still talking about like the next numbered Elder Scrolls. I
Well,
bet you.
What time? When did Elder Scroll?
I think
When did Skyrim come out?
Forever ago.
Skyrim came out in 2011.
Yeah. So.
And Elder Scrolls Online, I believe, came out in 14 or 15.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah, you're better with dates than I am, so I'm not like saying you're wrong.
My whole point is like Todd Howard is going to talk about shit that's not out for many, many years.
Yeah.
He does
yes.
that.
Yes.
It glows in the fucking dark.
Yeah. Thanks.
Side note, Shanae, there's a video of Todd Howard talking about Fallout 76. One of the pre-order bonuses for a collector's edition is a map that glows in the dark.
In the fucking dark.
He says, and we had a map that glows in the fucking dark, and the crowd fucking lost it, and it's just the most hilarious thing in the world to me. Then the next is just all about the Vive. So this is before the Vive came out.
Okay.
The Vive priced at $799.99.
Oh shit! Yeah, it got a significant price drop.
Came with 2 wireless controllers, 360-degree controllers, the Vive itself,
Yeah.
job simulator.
Yeah. So Job Simulator's fun.
That's that whole page.
I liked it.
Uh,
I like the look back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time we should do one. We should do Shanae notes next time.
I need to bring them. That's part of the problem on that one. I need
Okay.
to go through and find them.
But
This reminded me though, because I forgot about
it is funny because it's all. It seems like it just seems like I'm the one who wrote them, but they seem cryptic to me.
Right. And that's part of it. Like that's part of the reason why I thought it would be neat, because like some of it is just trying to decipher it.
Yeah. Because like even in that one, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But like where my sentences cut off, I don't understand why.
But even that though, right? Think about that Vive at $800.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't remember how much the Oculus was, but
it was a bananas amount too.
It was significantly less, like hundreds less.
yeah.
But
I think it was like around 500. I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
misremembering them. Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say that was probably around probably late 2016, I want to say. That's what I think.
I have no idea. But
I mean,
I liked it.
The world will never know.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see these big and crazy projects. I bet one of those was Fallout 76.
Oh, probably.
Probably.
Swing and a miss.
Ugh. So that's
Those bags.
Yeah. Nylon.
So that's our show. You can find us on most podcast apps, YouTube's. We have the social media, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Insta, and we also have a Discord.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Link in description.
Hopefully. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.